Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. If you're watching us, listening, however you are taking in this episode, very thankful that you are taking the time to check out what we have going on this week. As you can see, I have a new guest with me as always. So Kaci is joining me. Thank you so much for taking
Hi.
time. This is another one
Thank
of the
you.
crossover episodes here. So if you followed along, you know I have the wrestling podcast. So former guest of Three Count is now jumping into the Maximize Monday hot seat. So how are you this week? How are things going?
I'm good. I'm good. It's Wednesday, so midweek. We're
Yeah,
halfway to the weekend.
halfway through. Yeah. Yeah, definitely, definitely. So if you watch the show, listen, you kind of know we start off talking about what's going on for the week ahead. And so for me, a lot in terms of motivation. So this is the time of the year that my wife is a teacher, so she's home every day now. My wife, my daughter, only goes to daycare a handful of days, so a little bit more time I get to spend with the family during the summer months, which can be hectic when I have interviews throughout the day, but also a really good thing just to kind of keep that motivation going because I know I can have like the lunch date every day if I want and kind of force myself to take the break from the computer. So always
Yeah.
motivating to get that extra time with them. So that's one of the big things. Summer months coming up, so summer vacations planned. That's always a big deal on the horizon. I
Yeah.
would say the biggest thing motivating me, the biggest I guess it's a motivator is the preschool graduation for my daughter is coming up here. So
Aw.
it's going to be really fun, but it's also going to probably be devastating as we get her ready for kindergarten.
Aw.
We're already doing like
Aw.
kindergarten registration stuff, so we're very excited about that. But it's kind of one of those things where it's like to see her in her little cap and gown was like a oh type of moment for me. It's going so
Aw.
fast.
That's sweet.
But yeah, so that's the motivation in terms of what I have motivated me. In terms of work wise, what's going on. If you've watched the show, you know that we're big into the intern swing right now. So I actually have a presentation to deliver coming up here. So that's kind of my goal for the week ahead is to get out in front of that since I have a week and a half to finish preparation on that. But I like to have that done in plenty of time because I'm always second guessing myself and changing things and running through the presentation myself. So that's the goal. The focus, the win is all kind of on maintaining my organization for the internship program here. So that's my week. Kaci, what's going on in your world this week?
I am doing interviews all day, which I've wanted to do for forever.
Mhm.
And then tomorrow I get my hair done. Finally, I get to wash this and get it all redone and go get my nails done. So that's really exciting because you just need a girl's day sometimes.
Yeah,
And then Friday I get to go over to Clearwater to film some stuff, and then I'll be flying to Wisconsin. So hopefully bring back a championship.
nice.
So yeah, that's kind of that's the rest of my week. And then I'll just restart it Monday with some squats and deadlifts and yeah, hopefully we max out, we PR on those.
I am back into the grind.
Yeah.
For sure. So this is kind of a cool thing for me because I've had people on in the past who wrestle and have talked about kind of what they do outside of this, but wanted to approach this from
Mhm.
that perspective and talk to you about wrestling since that's kind of what you're passionate about. And if people have followed you along on any form of social media, they see the titles that you're accumulating and how your career has progressed and all the success that you've achieved so far. But want to jump back to the beginning and because a lot of people that when they're pursuing their dreams that initial hurdle of like I want to do this but how do I get started is kind
Mhm.
of the biggest thing. And if you've watched the show, that's kind of a lot of challenges that people face when they're pivoting careers too. So for you, thinking about wanting to get into wrestling to actually getting to wrestle in that first match, what was that process for you? How did you kind of push yourself to not just get started, but maintain that motivation, through training, through kind of all the hurdles and the roadblocks that there are to get started in the wrestling industry?
So for me, I feel like I knew that I wanted to wrestle when I was 10 years old. So that's waiting to be able to get into the ring. That's the first hurdle in itself.
Mhm.
And I had to wait 8 years to actually be able to go to a wrestling school. So just the not persistence, but the um just waiting factor of it. Like, I watched wrestling again since I was 10 years old, and I continuously watched it and I knew that that was what I wanted to do all that time. So to go to shows and see other people um, working these shows, and me still just being in the crowd and not being able to train, that was very frustrating, but also like, it made me learn to wait. um, so that would be the first hurdle. And then just in wrestling now, I would say like I've been doing it for years. But it's always going to be hard. You're always mentally going to think, um, I'm not good enough, or there's somebody better, or why am I not signed yet, or why do I not have enough bookings? So that's also a hurdle in itself. But where I currently train right now, um, I have a large group of people who support me and help me grow and help me get past like doing moves that I didn't think I could, or getting bookings that I didn't think I could. Um, they push me past limits that I thought that I couldn't do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Definitely, definitely. So, question I'll have for you, and I get this question a lot from people who are looking to kind of, also get into training for different avenues that they're going into, and they don't know where to start. I want to get into this career. What do I do from here? What courses can I take? And for wrestling training, it's the same way because there's so many options, especially up where I am in the South Central PA. You have Baltimore, you have Virginia, you have Philly.
Hmm.
So many different training programs, schools, and federations that you can get signed on to. So what did that like research process look like for you in terms of finding out the school that was going to be the right one for you, and finding that initial mentor that you knew was going to guide you along, and give you the good advice that you would need to kind of get to the next steps?
So my initial school, I found it was a new school. It opened up. It was ran by Gilbert, and everybody knows Gilbert. So for me, that was a given. And then when I moved to Orlando, I picked the school that I initially picked because Santana Garrett was actually at that school, and she's done so much in wrestling. She's an international superstar. Um, she's just everywhere. So that's why I picked that school. Because she was there and I knew that like I would be learning from one of the best. Um, and then I went to a school, or I went to classes with Ace Steele, and I went to classes with him because he's been around forever. I knew he was great. He had been in WWE, so obviously he knew like the WWE way.
Mm-hmm.
And now I am currently at Devon's. Um, and he also knows the WWE. He knows the way before it was the way that it is now.
Yeah.
Um, he has connects in TNA, he has connects in AEW. So it's kind of nice being somewhere where, you know, A, he's connected, B, he knows how to wrestle. He knows what they're looking for. Um, so if somebody were to like try to find a school right now, I would say A, find a reputable one. Um, and B, like test it out. Like go there. Don't like put your eggs all in one basket, I would say, because I've been to four different schools.
Yeah.
Um, there's not there's not one like right way to wrestle, or to like put on a show or put on a match. Everybody's going to teach you different things. Um, so I would say find somewhere that's still reputable, but somewhere that you feel comfortable. Um, so that's what I would say to somebody who, is trying to just come in.
Yeah, I think that can apply to every industry. You want to feel
Yeah.
comfortable where you're going, no matter what
Mhm.
the role, and especially in wrestling where you're putting your body on the line and you need to trust the people that you're working with. So, sound
Yeah.
advice that kind of expands across all industries. But let's talk about your move a little bit, because that's kind of something that a
Yeah.
lot of people are facing right now when they're looking for opportunities. Again, not just in wrestling, but kind of anything. If you've been laid off, or if you're in a career transition page, sometimes it's to the point where you might have to look at a new area and relocate if you want to pursue opportunities. And not that there's ever an easy time to just pick up and move, but it's even more difficult now.
Yeah.
So, what was that process like for you in terms of relocating to the Orlando area? what was the mental hurdles that you had to get off over there, and how did you go about establishing a support system in a new area, so that you could feel comfortable in terms of what you were doing right off the bat.
Um, so my entire family moved from Baltimore to Orlando. And my mom and I actually made the trip down to, I guess, kind of start like looking for jobs and stuff like that. And she immediately got hired at Universal and I got hired at SeaWorld. Um, so as soon as we got hired, we went back home, packed everything up. Um, we came down. It was me, my brother, my stepfather, my mom, and my grandfather. We packed the whole house up in a little, well, we packed it up in like 3 cars, and we had one of the little U-Hauls that you put on the back of your car.
Mm-hmm.
So packed everything in there, and we came down. And honestly, um, other than like other than it like being a fresh start, um, it's very much something like my parents always wanted to move here.
Mm-hmm.
So still to this day, I'm like, it's crazy that we live here. But when you first move somewhere or like start a new job or whatever, you have that feeling of like, am I gonna be able to like live here
Yeah.
and succeed here? And will I be able to pay the bills and like everything's higher? Or will I be able to have food on the table? So that was definitely like a mental, I don't want to say struggle, but like definitely something that was in my mind, like how are we gonna like make these ends meet?
Yeah.
Because it's all cool and nice, when you move into a new place and things seem fresh,
Mm-hmm.
and you have like a new environment. Uh, but especially moving, you want to make sure that you're able to like actually live and yeah, I mean it's hard. Like
Right.
it's I don't know. You just want to make sure you can pay your bills and again have food on the table and still be able to have a life. And for a while, like I don't want to say like we struggled, uh, because there was nothing that like my family was ever without. But for a while, were things tight? Like sure, they were tight, but like that's part of the process. And now we just purchased a home and here we are. So
Congrats on that.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so you mentioned working at SeaWorld and being in guest services and guest experiences. I was a high school English teacher before I became a recruiter, so I get the question a lot. How did you look for those skills that you developed in education that made you successful as a recruiter? So I want to pose that question to you. Working in a very customer facing role, how did that kind of help you with being in the ring, being in front of crowds, and conversely, has being in wrestling and being that presence in the crowds and cutting promos, has that then in turn helped you feel more comfortable when you're working in customer facing roles?
So I have always worked in a type of job where I like have like a guest facing role.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like when I moved here, I gained some sort of additional confidence that I didn't have when I was back in Maryland. Um, Maybe I just got new friends or something. I mean, it's not that I was like a house person or a homebody all the time in Maryland, but like I would often have the same friends. Being in a theme park, I see different people every day. Like I work with different people every day. I see different guests every day. So maybe that is what helped build my confidence because I like have to talk to people
Yeah.
um from every region.
Yeah.
And I worked with people who in general were just different. Like my friends and I now are like so loud at work and obnoxious and like probably shouldn't be, but um it's just how we've grown. And maybe I'm that way with my friends at work because we've grown to be a family. So like I feel like I can be like myself with them.
Mhm.
Um but yeah, being like working at SeaWorld and having these guest facing jobs has definitely helped my confidence and helped me better in the ring with matches and directing things at fans just because I have to come out of my shell. Like I can't be
Yeah.
to myself. I have to have that positive guest interaction or negative guest interaction or
Right.
um it kind of forces you uh to, speak to others, be out there instead of just being to yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And besides that, aside from being a fan of wrestling and knowing that you wanted to be in the industry, is there anything else from your past that you feel really helped you in terms of early success, be comfortable in the ring, beyond just that drive of wanting to be there?
Hmm. Anything else that helped me beyond that? I don't know. I want to say no. I feel like that's not a good answer because I'm just giving long answers. Um, but no, I don't think so. I feel like I just kind of grew up and I came out of my shell. Modeling, I guess going to the modeling school definitely helped when I was younger,
Sure.
because they will definitely make you come out of your shell.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, moving down here definitely like changed
Yeah.
who I was. And not in a bad way, but like in a more of a way that I am not so quiet and to myself and like only hang out with like friends that live on my block or things like that, like I'm more able to sit here and have this conversation or sit here or go to work and have a conversation with a guest or things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Let me pose a different question to you then. It's kind of falling in line. So when you got started in wrestling, was there anything that was kind of a surprise to you as like either, oh, I didn't think that this would be as hard as it is, or something that kind of came naturally to you where you thought, oh, this is going to be tough, and you caught on really quick with it.
Probably all of it.
Right.
Probably all of wrestling. No, I actually I do not like doing promos still. Like I still feel uncomfortable when I'm doing promos in front of uh like the people that I train with. And
Mhm.
I don't know if it's because I don't want to like mess up or if I want to get it perfect. And then when I don't get it perfect, I feel like a failure. Um that still that part still sucks. And that part is still hard. And I feel like that's always going to be hard. So I need a mouthpiece like Paul Heyman.
Right.
um, but other than that, like uh all the roles and the running the ropes and um just the moves and stuff like that, um, I feel like it came very like easily to me.
Okay.
I will say one move that does one like bump that doesn't come easy is the flip bump for me. I cannot get any height. I'm so like low to the ground.
Gotcha. So on the promo question then, because I've struggled with this too, and you might not know this because I host multiple podcasts and I'm part of them, but if it's just me talking and I'm recording something individually, it takes me like an hour and a half to record a 3 minute clip because I hate it. I can guess myself. So you mentioned that you don't like cutting promos in front of the people that you train with. Do you find it easier to just cut the promo then in front of crowds, in front of strangers? Is that a little bit more easy for you because it's not people that you see every day and you may never see them again?
Yes, I also feel like it's easier, like if I'm trying to cut a promo or put a promo together, if I do it in the car,
Hmm.
because I give myself that freedom to mess up because I'm trying to put it together and I'm trying to make it right. So I think that's kind of just where it stems from with cutting promos in front of people that I actually know is that like I don't want to do it wrong. Um, I just don't want to mess up in front of these people. And I don't want to have those bad critiques. So
Hmm.
I think that's kind of where it stems from. Cause yeah, when I'm in the car, when I'm in front of like when I'm in front of like fans, I'm totally fine.
Yeah.
Like I can just go off and say whatever I need. Um, but yeah, I think that's what it is that I just don't like the the failure still.
Right. Right. So, in terms of working independently, working collaboratively, it's something that a lot of people probably don't think of too much when it comes to wrestling because you say, oh yeah, if you're in a tag team, everything you have to trust your partner, but you also really have to trust the person that you're getting into the ring with and being
Mhm.
their opponent going through that. So, was that kind of a challenging process for you? Because you're relying on yourself and preparing for yourself, and you have to be relying on someone else too. So there's only so much that you as an individual can do during the match. So how did you kind of learn to, gain that trust with who you're stepping into the ring with, whether that's partner or opponent, multiple people in terms of like royale matches, things like that?
So I guess I learned how to like trust that because I learned how to protect my own self.
Mhm.
Uh, so if someone tries to give me something, A, that I don't feel comfortable with, like I will tell them that I'm not gonna take it. Um, or if it comes down to a move that like I've taken and maybe they just don't know how to give it right or whatever, I physically know how to protect myself so that I don't get hurt.
Mhm.
Um, and I mean, if anything, it'll just be like a sore muscle or something like that.
Right.
But that's how I've grown. I don't want to say that's how I've grown to trust it. That's just how I know that I can trust being in there with someone who I don't know. Because I can protect myself. And I would say I would hope the same for that person. But I would say also getting in the ring before you actually have the match or just like walking through whatever big move you plan to do just so I feel comfortable, they feel comfortable. So yeah, that's how I learn to trust it.
Okay. So now that you've been in the industry for some time, what kind of stands out to you as your favorite part of the overall wrestling experience that you've been in, from ring gear to, creating your move set, developing that move set, choosing, what your merch designs are going to look like, gear designs, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Does kind of anything stand out as like, this is the thing that I love the most about being a professional wrestler?
I would say definitely love the gear designs and getting new gear and all that fun stuff because gear is an expression of who you are.
Mhm.
um and I think the thing that like stands out to me is just how people react still, I feel
Mhm.
like to match it to a match or to a promo or to whatever. Um, that still stands out to me because like at the end of the day, I'm still a fan. I am a wrestler, but I'm also a fan, and like I feel like you have to be a fan to even want to start wrestling. So when I see people, either people reacting to the moves that I do or like just reactions to other matches, um, that really still is just like a wow moment for me. So that's what stands out, I feel.
Okay. All right. Now,
Yeah.
last question I have is a question that I ask everyone who comes on Maximize Monday. And you've given some already in terms of advice, but if there's anything when people come to you, Kaci, I'm wanting to pursue, this as my dream job, what is either some advice that you received along the way that you felt was imperative to getting to where you are now, or just kind of
Mhm.
a staple piece of advice that you give to anyone that comes to you with that question?
So again, obviously, always find a reputable school. Get into the gym, study wrestling, watch wrestling. Like the only way you're gonna get better is if you go to a school and if you continue to watch wrestling.
Yeah.
Um, don't be afraid of hard work. Like hitting the ropes is gonna be hard, bumping is gonna be hard. You're gonna be tired. You're gonna be blown up. You just have to keep going if you really have a passion for it and really want to do it.
Mhm.
And then just keep your ears open and listen to what people say. Like everybody is not always going to be right. Like there's things that one person might say, and then there's things that somebody else might say. But that's the like, I guess, joy about wrestling is that it's like what do they say about like the ice cream flavors? Like there's 1,000 ice cream flavors and everybody's gonna have a different favorite or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, but they're all good.
Yeah.
So like take like bits and pieces from each person. That's why there's 1,000 wrestling schools because everybody teaches their own different way. So take pieces from each uh, trainer or mentor or whatever and put it together to form the best you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So before I let you go here, take a minute, plug yourself. Where can people follow you? Where can they
Yeah.
catch you in action? Anything that you've got going on that you want the people to know about, feel free.
Yeah, you guys can all follow me on Real Casey Lennox, Real KACILENNOX, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, all the same. You can go to my merch store. It's KaciLennox.com. Not it's Kaci Lennox. It is KaciLennox.com. So you can go get merch there. You can go see exclusive photos at itskaci.com. And then I post everything on my social media, so you guys can keep up with matches and shows and little video clips and cute, sexy little pictures, all on my social medias. So
Wow.
yeah,
And all the titles that you're winning. Perfect.
yeah.
All right. Well, Kaci, thanks again for taking the time to jump on here with me. For everyone
Thank
to
you.
watch, to listen, thanks for checking us out, and I'll see you next Monday.